Welcome everyone to Boost Pickup. I am your host, Vaudible, bringing you guys the latest news, announcements, and roster updates, and even tournament results in the Rocket League Esports community. Just trying to get you all refueled and recharged for your week to come in Rocket League Esports. But without further ado, we have a lot on the docket for today. We have an interview that we recorded last night with Lawler. We also have a lot of information about Season 8 and some of the changes that are coming with that for the Rivals series, and then some other community announcements that have happened recently in the past week. So you don't really need to hear me talk too much about what's going to go down. What you really want to hear is this interview with Lawler. So let's take it away and get straight into the action with that. Hello everyone, I am Vaudible, the host of Boost Pickup, and today we have the one and only RLCS co-host, caster, analyst extraordinaire, Lawler, host of the Brawl, and among many other things, a great gentleman at that. How are you doing today, good sir?
Give me enough titles, man. I'm feeling pretty good.
try to work everyone up a little bit in the beginning and then get
just so you
right
can bring me down.
Yeah, just so I can bring you down a little bit. Nah, it's great to have you on the show. Been trying to arrange it for a while. Finally, with the new time, we can actually get an interview before the show. This is going to be pre-recorded for those watching this, just in case some crazy news happens that we can't react to. But what we wanted to start off the show talking about is the newest announcement that just happened this past week, is the Season 8 announcement and the changes that have been happening to the Rivals series. Any initial reactions that you had after seeing the news?
For Rival Series, it's fantastic. We look at everything that's been happening in the DreamHacks that we've been getting, all the majors, etc. It's shown that these wild card teams per se have chances to redeem themselves in every single tournament. The fact that we're getting teams like Echo Zulu and Dudes and this and that all throughout the past probably 2 years or year and a half, and they're still showing like top 8 performances, proves that there is definitely a decent amount of depth and a lot of competition on any given day. And the fact that we're extending Rival Series now to further exemplify that is great for the scene, as well as just opportunities for some of these younger guys or lesser known players to make their mark. So I think it's really cool in that sense. RLCS still stays tried and true. Clearly it's a formula that works, and I'm happy that it is staying that way. It just, hopefully we start to lead into more. I think it's in a really weird circumstance right now, just because with the Epic acquisition, we don't exactly know the details that are going to come. Yeah. So right now I think they're just kind of intermingling, right? Like they're just trying to figure out, okay, what changes are we going to see? I can't speak to it. Obviously, I'm not I'm not an employee of Psyonix. I'm freelance. I do my own thing. So those details we don't know. But from what it feels like, it's just like, okay, 2020 is going to be when we start to see that jump, and that could be totally wrong too. I just don't know. But from the initial stuff, I think a lot of people wanted an extended RLCS. I don't agree with that in any way, shape, or form. Rival Series was definitely the way to extend it. I know Jorby is a big proponent of that too. In that,
he had like a huge discussion on Twitter about it.
I think 10-team RLRS is a fantastic place. RLRS has proven that it's worked. Look at all the talent that's been promoted from it. So the fact that we're just expanding that is fantastic.
So what are your thoughts after the expansion up to 10 teams? You already told us your thoughts on that. It's better to have that basically compared to the RLCS at this stage, especially with how the transition's happening and the level of players that are competing in RLCS. What about the new promotion tournament format, how there is actual a rival series playoff, so it's not just go top 4 in a rival series and then top 2 of that actually make it into that. There's actually a playoff scenario this time.
Yeah, so for those that didn't see it, it's the same thing we do for the regional championship in the RLCS. It is a page playoff style. And basically what that means is for all these teams that have, like, you look at the rival series, how many teams like are fighting for those top 4 spots, and only 2 of them matter. It's kind of frustrating for a lot of these players that have, at the circumstance towards the end of their rival series season, performed just as well, if not better. And then you have one series and it all falls apart. The page playoff format benefits those that have shown throughout league play that they deserve to be there. So you're giving the people that are in that 3rd, 4th seed area more chances than the people 5th, 6th, or what have you. So it's extended over 2 weeks. It's better for storylines. You get the best teams at the current time moving through, which is fantastic. So I think the regional championship really showed in RLCS why it's important. And you get really exciting runs from Rogue, who, you know, end up taking top 4 of the world championship, and they're hot when it matters most, which that is what championships are about. It is not as who is the best team over a long period of time. It is who is the best right now when it matters most, right? That's part of the reason why it's beneficial for us to do multiple world championships here, unlike every other esport. So, playoffs over 2 weeks, I think is great. I think it's better for storylines. It's way more excitement. It's more work for the rival series guys as well, which is fantastic. So there's a lot of benefits to it, not only for like entertainment purposes, but also like logistically, just makes more sense. So yeah, big fan.
So do you think how they actually removed the broadcast that they normally have for the play-ins themselves, and I guess change the date just so they're broadcasting these promotion tournament playoffs instead? Do you think that'll kind of deter people's motivations for qualifying and trying to keep up with the rival series just from a viewer standpoint? Or is it just going to be the same story?
This is going to be a very blunt statement like Kronovi made in season 1.
Yeah.
If that is what your focus is, you don't belong in the RLRS anyway. You're achieving the wrong things or trying to achieve the wrong things. Like, it's a good goal to be like, yeah, it would be cool to be on broadcast. But the people that are playing in the RLRS that are most likely going to make it are the ones that know they're going to be in league play. So I hope it provides extra opportunities to the community. I mean, that's where we all got our starts, where we all belong. So hopefully Psyonix finds a way to allow community organizations to promote and do and run those play-ins so they still get broadcasted.
Oh, yeah.
And if not, hopefully that incentivizes the players themselves to broadcast that information, because it is free viewership. It is an easy way to promote your channel, saying, yeah, I'm making a run through the rival series. You look at what it does even for like Athena or something, where these guys have this performance and their viewership, like Phantomace, pulling like 3K viewers because this community on Twitch loves competitive. So if they aren't doing it, you guys should, because it's only going to benefit you. It's an opportunity that is actually being given to the community rather than just saying, hey, we're doing it this way. Now, I do like the production side of it when we do it from the studio and all that kind of stuff, but I think there's benefits to it. You got to see the positives of it. So hopefully people from the community, whether you're playing in it or otherwise, well, whether you ask me and then say, hey, I'm going to ask the other team if it's okay, will you broadcast the matches for us, or, you know, what have you? Like, there's a lot of options out there. You just got to be ambitious and go and do it. So hopefully, in my opinion, Psyonix does reach out to like Rocket League Central and PRL or Rival Esports Now and Boost, or, you know, whoever the community tournaments that they're going to do, and they broadcast it that way. Like, I think that's a great thing. But if not, hopefully the players take it into their own account, or other people, like there's Reddit threads about it already saying like, hey, we'll do it if you guys let us. So I think there's definitely positives. Obviously, it's unfortunate that we're not doing it the premier way per se, but take advantage of the opportunity that's being given. I think it's really positive for those guys that if you're playing in the plans, you're the only way they can watch it. Broadcast yourself if you can.
Oh yeah, especially since we always see the Rocket League Esports Twitter tweet out whenever people are streaming their runs through it, even during the broadcast day itself. So we always see a lot of people, like we've seen Derek so many times. He's a homestay in the partner scene for Rocket League, and he's always on some sort of team with some content creators. They're always
Marky's coming back, dude.
Marky's coming back. If they stream that, like, they're gonna get all the viewers. Yeah. So there's like so many opportunities for people to kind of get their name out there and not have to be on that broadcast. And I guess it makes it easier for the rival series team not to have to worry about keeping up with that. They just have to worry, okay, who qualified, see kind of the path in the bracket, and then build some storylines off of that. I mean,
for me, like if I'm part of the rival series team, or I'm the ones covering those teams, I can just pull up a multi-stream with all these channels and just sit and follow their path to the rival series. And now you have these really cool storylines from multiple different facets with player comms, which the Brawl has shown so prolific to be, that you can now listen in and hear their insight and their comms and what they're going through. And then you bring that to week 1 of the rival series and you're like, yeah, this is great. You know, we can really hone in on what makes these players and focus on the players rather than just these teams are competing for a chance of the RLCS. You know, let's get more into it.
So speaking of like chances to get into the RLCS, the players, and kind of the new format that we're seeing for the rival series, do you think this will be more attractive for some other organizations to try and pick up some of these teams now that there's more teams going to be remaining in the rival series and more of a even playing field to qualify into the RLCS?
Yeah, I didn't look at all the details. I don't know if they're retaining 6 now.
Yeah, they're retaining 6 now.
So now that they're retaining 6, like, yeah, of course. I mean, you're talking that top 6 out of 10. You're talking 2 more teams, which is fantastic. So Plus, it's giving more of a safety net for those that do drop down, which is great, So, you see a situation with EG, like the potential for them to stay in that circumstance, or like a CLG that dropped out. Like these guys have a chance to stay around longer and can do the roster swaps internally through the rival series and then promote their way up and do it for a lesser cost too. Like it's not cheap to run a team in the RLCS.
Oh no.
So for the rival series, like any sort of salary is beneficial. So these guys have to understand that as well. If they do drop down, that they're going to take a pay cut, which incentivizes them. And then it's a constant domino effect. So yeah, of course, the more teams you get to retain, it's the same thing as the RLCS. The fact that we retain 6 technically with a chance of 2 promoting or 2 staying additional. Yeah, why wouldn't you? It's only going to be beneficial for additional orgs, and hopefully we see that actually take effect.
Do you also think it's more important now than even the previous series and seasons for these teams to actually build a brand and name around the players, like how we see with the Beeps? We kind of saw with Birds of the Bees. We saw with Triple Trouble. Obviously, things happen there, but that's more player recognition and brands so that they can actually build a fan base before trying to qualify for their RLCS.
I mean, of course, anytime you have that level of exposure, I got a ton of I guess kickback on it when we talked about it back in season 1 and 2 about seeing the bigger picture and the opportunity that's being presented. And even though casters were under salary at the time, because without us the broadcast doesn't happen, but we understand as well, you need a show to showcase the players, and the players have to provide that form of entertainment. So without them, there's nothing. And shout outs to players like Fruity. I mean, Fruity is an older guy in the scene and is well aware of what it's like to work a 9-to-5 job. And since he's become a pro, overnight, he streams on a regular. He's always boisterous. He's always willing to do interviews, always be in front of the camera, because he knows esports is short-lived. There's only a finite amount of time before your career is done. So for him, like, he's trying to set himself up for success in the future after Rocket League may be gone. Like, will Fruity still have a fan base? The guy can go play poker on Twitch and pull like 400 or 500 viewers, and it's super entertaining. That to me shows that he has a sustainable career as a person, not just as a professional player. And anybody who has that chance of that additional exposure should be well aware that the grind is just starting and that they need to work even harder now that they get that level of exposure. So yeah, I mean, you look at the success, Squishy, Rizzo, those guys come to mind easily, Kronovi. Look at what it's done for their careers. Like, they're pulling 100K followers on Twitter. Like, you can do a lot of serious damage, positive or negative, with that level of exposure or that level of following. So yeah, take full advantage of it, because you may not get another chance.
Yeah, especially with how futile any esports scene is, especially with all these teams and players trying to play their peak performance every single time.
It's cutthroat.
Eventually some of them might just fall off, like we see happen with a lot of these players retiring from now on and not really playing to their peak performance. We finally saw Fireburner take a step down, going to content creation as well, and having that backup definitely helps out a lot too, so he can go into those coaching positions, have more fun. And speaking of kind of the content and the way that these personalities are finally starting to shine, why don't you tell us a little bit about how the Brawl is helping accomplish that for these players? We're getting the comms, we're getting these captain drafts and different fantasy scenarios that a lot of spectators and fans of Rocket League have not seen before.
Yeah, it's always been difficult because for the longest time, right? So the idea itself, or how it came to be, it's been a project that I've been kind of passionate about for a very long time. I just didn't really have the means of how to go about doing it. So over the course of probably about a year and a half, I've reached out to certain players, I've reached out to coaches, managers, you name it, and been like, ideally, how would you think this would work? And I've taken a little bit of bits and pieces of all that feedback, and that's what the Brawl came to be. So it's difficult and always has been difficult because before the pre-show was a thing for the RLCS, it was just nonstop Talk League, just get in the game, we don't care, blah, 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 right? The difficulty is when you, and as we do now, the current format of RLCS is very quick. I mean, you're talking video segments and discussion. Post-game and pre-game is maybe 2 to 3 minutes. It's very quick, straight into the game, because we know, like, we want to make this broadcast as consumable as possible, but still accomplish that. So how do you do that while also showcasing player personality and doing this extra additional content that this B-roll stuff that makes you really grasp onto who these people are as players, not just, okay, this guy's really good, he hit a crazy shot, So for me, it was trying to find a balance of how can I accomplish that even more so now that I've got downtime because the season isn't going on, and that's where the Brawl came to be. So player comms have always been a major focus. It's been great, man. It's been a lot of fun. Just for me specifically, like I don't have to put on the heavy tryhard caster voice or get really in depth and take it super seriously, right? Like I just get to sit back and hang out with what I consider a bunch of my closest friends. Like the Rocket League community at the pro scene is one of the best communities I've ever been a part of, and I love all these players through and through for a certain reason. But outside of that pro community, people don't realize why that is. We haven't really gotten to showcase who these people are other than a couple, on-stage interviews here and there. Like Jacob giggling after, he dropped an F-bomb about Garrett accidentally, like that is a genuine moment from Jacob. And if you know Jacob, that's just him to a T. But how do you showcase that? And I'm like, what better way to do it than with player comms all the time and getting these guys to interact? Yeah, they shit talk each other all the time because they're good friends. That's what friends usually do nowadays because you have that level of rapport. So the fact that we can listen to Roniki's, his conspiracy theory about the salad, moon, and iron, and which is trending right now on the livestream fails subreddit and stuff.
Is it actually?
Yeah, it's got like 4K up. It's something stupid. I'm like, God damn it, dude. Like, but it's awesome because people are finally respecting and loving these players the same level that I do, that I've been so genuinely been able to be a part of. So it's been a passion project. I'm glad it's working out the way it is, and hopefully it only gets better, man. It's a lot of work for one person, and maybe we have to reach out for help soon, but it's been good. It's been a lot of fun.
So speaking of some of the changes that might potentially happen, I saw that you aren't having a Brawl this week. We recently had the
Summit
iteration of it. Summit's going on. We'll talk a little bit about that later, especially because of the aspect of getting more of the personalities of these players out there. Gotta be so great. Don't want to spend too much time on that though, but tell us about phase 2 that you have kind of planned and in the works for the Brawl.
Yeah, so phase 2 is something that I teased at the very beginning, and with the general idea, it's great to showcase the players and their personalities, but at the same time, and big credit to Johnny Boy, more than anybody in the scene, what his 1v1 show matches do for the up-and-coming talent, even though these guys are really high in the leaderboards, you don't really get to see them unless you play at that level as well. So the fact, and credit to Johnny Boy, putting on that level of show match is great. The difficulty, though, is the competitive scene focuses on threes format, right? It's not in a 1v1 style other than a couple one-off majors or, things that Johnny hosts. You don't really get to see it. So I figured with the Brawl, not only will we showcase players, but we're going to give these guys a chance, just like Johnny does, to compete against the best of the best. And the way we're going to do that is with open signups. Phase 2, the plan is hopefully tournaments we can run on every Saturday during the off season. Then the week prior is going to be, so the general idea is week 1 and week 2 will be NA and then EU, all pros. We find out our championship team or whatever that gets invited back into week 3 or week 4 for the month. In week 3 then for NA on Saturday, we're going to open qualifier. Literally the public can sign up and the best team gets to play against the pros. They will be in the Brawl for the following NA week. And with that open in mind, like, good luck. These guys are the best of the best. You're going to get a true taste of what it is. But if you pop off, if you have those big moments, you can possibly get noticed. And that's exciting. That's inspiring to this younger generation. Hopefully it does something. Plus, we get to see a little bit of their personality. We never know what's going to happen. Obviously, there's going to be some bumps in the road, and it's going to be, different to figure out. But so has everything else been with the Brawl. It's been kind of a work in progress, and we're changing it as time goes by. Format changes are always an option, but phase 2 is literally going to give the public an opportunity to play against their favorite pros and their favorite little celebrities and stuff. So I'm excited for it. I think it's going to be sick. I think it's a good way to showcase it. It's just a matter of nothing really beats that true moment when you're in a lobby with, your favorite players competing for thousands of dollars, So
I mean, that's great to see too,
cool.
with all these, because you have that prize pool as well, which gives the extra incentive and kind of raises the stakes for a lot of these players. Even though they're all friends and they're all having fun and playing for it, they still have that competitive spirit, trying to be the best and win the money from the prize pool. And we've seen some insane plays and just great stuff. Definitely check out Lawler's YouTube channel, Lawler_RL. It has all the VODs from that. And you have highlight videos on there as well.
Yeah, shout outs. He doesn't get enough credit. If you guys don't know Little Cat Steps, the guy is insane. Makes some pretty crazy highlight videos. I will take 0 credit on those because I can't do it. But yeah, he's been putting out highlight videos that are kind of a perfect mesh of high level plays as well as in-game comms, and he does a perfect mix and match of transition from song and highlight plays to in-game, out-of-game, and it's been great. I think it's just that little bit extra, and I throw those in during the broadcast too, like before we go into the games for the week and stuff. I'll be like, in case you guys missed it last week, let's take a look at what happened last time or blah blah blah, and then it shows the highlight video, and then we get into the game. So yeah, they're pretty slick. Cat steps by all means, guys insane. Really good editing. Don't deserve it because he charges me way too little, but don't tell him.
So definitely hire that man if you want something edited, because he is amazing. He's been in the scene for such a long time too. Always putting out quality work.
He's played Warcraft 3 with us all the time back in the day. Not like when the game first came out, but like game's been out for older than most of our players. I know what you mean. Yeah, but
I'm sure some of the players that are pros at this point don't even know what happened back then. But going back into the phase 2 for those open signups, is it just going to be pre-made teams, or is that also going to be a captain draft sort of thing?
Yeah, the plan is pre-made teams.
Okay.
A lot of the pros have agreed that they don't want it to just be a walk in the park, because I hate to break it to you, like, no offense, it's just a different level of play. So I've got to figure out restrictions on what I allow to sign up, whether RLRS can sign up or not, and stuff like that. And I think there's got to be some level of restriction to it. Like, if you've been a pro in the previous X amount of seasons, like, you can't sign up, just because we really want to focus on showcasing the players. And like, we'll broadcast the open bracket and stuff all day Saturday, and then Sunday you come back as like an invitational, and then these are your seeded teams, and good luck. And the hardest thing is you're going to be playing against the team that won last week right away. Like, it's not going to be easy, so you got to make it count, which is really exciting. The players, I think, are excited to have a free win per se, so they're confident, which is awesome. That's what you want. So hopefully some more banter comes out of it and everybody has some fun.
I mean, especially if we get those upsets though from these pre-made teams, like, that's what everyone, I feel, is hoping for. Not the players themselves, maybe the ones that did win the open signup.
You see it even when like casters beat players, like the memes that come out of it, like me beating Scrub Killer in a drop shot game. It's like, yeah, it's drop shot, it doesn't matter, he's playing with ping, but the fact that he still lost, everybody's like, what the heck happened? And it's great. So if you can get some people that aren't on leaderboards that make these big upsets against your Rizzos, your Garretts, your whoever from EU, Turbo, whatever. Turbo's technically NA now, but you see that stuff happen, you're gonna see some notoriety, and hopefully those guys take that momentum and carry it. So yeah, it's really cool. Hopefully it works out the way we want it to. Obviously, there's some details to iron out, but that's the plan. I'm excited for it.
So do you have like a specific favorite moment so far from all the Brawl weeks that you've put on so far? I know it's a tough question. Hard to pick one.
I mean, so I like certain things for certain reasons, like the Ronicky thing with this conspiracy theory, and like just the comms, and like Cookster just being on the back end of it, just being like, I'm dealing with this and I have no say and I'm just along for the ride. Like, it's just wholesome, getting to hear Cookster talk, hearing Fairy Peak talk on a regular basis is really cool to me, because he's always been relatively quiet, because a lot of the guys are pretty self-conscious about speaking English. They're not confident in their abilities. So getting to actually hear these guys talk is fantastic. I think that overall as a whole is just really exciting. Sathio is talking crap to Reddles, and just, I don't know, it's just probably the Ronicky thing. The Ronicky thing was just so funny.
I mean, you can't really top that, honestly. Like, no one other than the people who know him personally could expect him to do that kind of conspiracy theory thing. And if you haven't seen it, definitely check it out. Obviously, it's on the live stream fails subreddit, so it'd be pretty easy to find.
Yeah, I don't know. It's tough to pick one moment, because there's a lot of certain things that you like. I mean, even the ability to, and shoutouts to like Garrett and Turbo, right after they announced the signing of Turbo, those guys came in on their off week and were willing to talk about it and discuss, and provide like an interview, kind of like how, like, if you're watching preseason football, right?
Yeah.
They go to the players on the sidelines that aren't playing and just kind of talking while the gameplay is going on. Same kind of thing. So the fact that the players are willing to come and talk about stuff like that, there's guys that are sitting in chat that willingly will come into the Discord and just talk and shoot the shit and give their insight. Shout outs to Chrome being there almost every single week. it's a level of insight that you can't really get anywhere else. And it's a pleasure that they're willing to do that, because it just shows that they're willing to sit and talk with me, as a friend, not just as a, hey, I'm being paid, I have to be here kind of thing.
Do you feel like this is something that could be beneficial for the official broadcast, like the RLCS and even some of the LAN events, like having some comms being able to listen in, and then actually more interaction and content built around the players? Because we saw a little bit of that at the World Championship with the whole Scrubkilla and Justin interview, but maybe just that and up it to 100%.
In season, I think it was season 5. I forget what season it was. Season 4 or 5, or I think it was 6. We got bits and pieces. Like, we had sound bites of the guys talking in game. Like, we've had it before, and everybody loves it. It's just it's a lot of work for the production team.
Very true.
But this is showing at least that it's a huge desire for the community. So if anything, it brings awareness to the guys that make the calls in the RLCS and for the esports team, and hopefully we get more of it. I think it's fantastic. I think even if we can find some way to do it during league play, or whatever we can, I think is a great thing. And even if we record it somehow and then we do it as post-produced content or something, like anything, like, it's a big desire. I hope we can accomplish it in some way, shape, or form. No promises, obviously. It's not my call, but the fact that people want it is a good thing, and hopefully we can continue to provide it. And if they can't, you know where to find it. So
yeah, it's also been great to see the player interviews, the articles that have been released by Ian. He's been doing great work with that, so we get to see a little bit more insight into the players' mindset and how things have been going for the different teams. We even recently saw one where they released a kind of look back at the previous series for the Grand Series that happened in South America. That's also great to see there. But I know you were talking a little bit before we started this interview about another kind of event in the Brawl stratosphere that you might want to talk a little bit about. Are you okay to talk about that?
Yeah, we can talk about whatever you want, man.
Okay. Well, why don't you tell us about this event that's for charity and kind of has a similar format to the captain's draft of the Brawl?
Yeah, so Johnny Boy beat me to the punch. Shoutouts, if you guys don't already, please. It's for a great cause, the Manfield 10K. Content creators are getting together to basically play for charity. Money going to them, and they're matching up to $10,000, which is just phenomenal. So hopefully we hit that goal. But the Brawl was going to do the same thing. A lot of content creators, John Sandman and Fanimace and good buddies of mine, have all been like, yeah, the Brawl's sick. How can I be involved? What can I do? And I've talked to John about possibly doing like a rap for the Brawl and just cool things like that. But I'm like, what better way than to use your guys' level of exposure and your guys' level of reach to do it for a good cause? And the charity thing was the first thing that came to mind. Fanimace and I talked about it for a while, about how it'd be cool to see a way to get these guys to play for charity. They all pick their own charities and then do stuff like that. So there will be a Brawl charity version with content creators at some point in the future. It's just a matter of when and how we're going to do it. It's a lot of organization behind trying to make sure all the content creators are available. But shout outs to Johnny again. Johnny's doing some good content and providing a lot of good things for the community. And I'm glad we can double down on that and hopefully do the same thing with the Brawl. It's always for a good cause. So
more charity, the better for a lot of these things that we've been seeing going throughout the community. That's going to be a great event. And obviously the Brawl iteration of a charity tournament is going to be insane as well. Anything else you want to talk about the Brawl before we move on to kind of seeing how big of an impact the Rocket League Summit is going to have to this community?
Please watch. The more that watch, the more that support it, the better we get for funding and everything else. And to sell out, because it's the only chance I'm gonna get it to do, right? So if you guys I'm trying to push for front page time and all that kind of stuff. The more subs that we have, the more likely it's going to happen. So any way you guys can support it, if you guys enjoy the content, please support it, share it, whatever you got to do. Just not only for my sake, but also for all the players and stuff. Because the more eyes and stuff we get on it, the better it gets for everybody else. We all miss Gold Rush, which leads perfectly into Summit coming in. So the fact that we get better iteration of it, no offense to Gold Rush, it's just they got a bigger production. So
yeah, they've been doing it for a while too. Yeah. So how do you feel that the content that's going to be generated from Rocket League Summit and the whole event itself, with having a game like Mafia being played by the Rocket League pros. Like, there's so many subreddit threads on it right now in the Rocket League Esports subreddit on how important this is going to be for the scene. But what are your personal opinions on the effect that Rocket League Summit is going to have for the content creation and the personalities of these pros?
So I feel an event like Summit is made for the Rocket League scene. I think Summit itself is a place that really stands true to the grassroots style esports. The ones that where the community has really pretty much willed its way into becoming an esport. And the Summit's only going to expand upon that even more so. The fact that these guys are in a very relaxed atmosphere is only going to showcase their personalities more. There's going to be goofy things that take off the pressure. You know, the fact that they're having a rock, paper, scissors championship, and the fact that we're going to see these guys that have, the fact that these guys have known each other for, some of them like a decade, some of the OGs, and they're going to have to figure out their tendencies and learn their ways that they react to things and view them like more on a psychological basis for Mafia rather than just like, okay, this guy plays really good because of these reasons. Like, it's going to be some really exciting stuff. Expect the first one to be a crapshoot. It's going to be terrible. But the second one is going to be good because these guys are going to have an understanding and a familiarity to the game. And that's when you're going to really see what Mafia is all about. And for those that don't know Mafia, read up on it. It's going to be a good time because when you know what's going on and you're watching, it's all
so
the
much better.
So, yeah. And then we get a high level tournament too. Like, this is the first time we get to see a lot of these rosters compete for a major. So, both facets are being accomplished in a very relaxed environment with a lot of focus on the players. Like, what's not to love? It's going to be fantastic because the summits always do very well.
Yeah, they always do very well, especially in Smash. Haven't really seen the Dota ones, but they've been doing those consistently for such a long time. And
they just had their like 7th one or something like that.
Something like that, yeah. But it's a great time all around. And the groups recently got released for that too. Why don't we talk about how there's 3 different players from the previous Dignitas roster facing off in 3 different teams in one group for this event that's going on for best of 7s as well.
Dude, if there isn't a sheer amount of banter coming out from those boys, I'm going to be so upset. Plus, like, whoever wins gets the title of best Dignitas player, right? Like, that's how it works. Like, I will unofficially sponsor it with MS Paint drawing or something. I don't know. Like,
make your own MS Paint trophy and say best former Dignitas player or current.
Yeah, right. Like, yeah. I mean, Violent Panda wins current Dignitas player, but like, it's just because he's the only one left. So, yeah, I don't know. I think it's really cool. I'm glad, and it's unfortunate the situation that happened with Triple Trouble, but the fact that they're bringing out a different team in their replace in Dignitas is, I think, great. I want to see more of Astral. He is this new kid on the block that we haven't gotten really to know much of. So there's a lot of new roster changes, a lot of things that we're going to see for the first time in the sense of an in-person, on-land kind of environment. Obviously, DreamHacks have showcased that too, but like, we're starting to finally hone in on like the roster locks of what we're going to see for season 8. So, yeah, I'm excited, man. I'm really pumped about that Bricks roster. That's more than anything. Good. It's so much banter, and poor little Cooks is just sitting there dealing with both of them, and I love it. And I personally want Cooks to pop off. I want Cooks to come out and have a huge showing and prove like, yeah, he's the old guard, but he's still damn good. Like, I really want it, just as a Cooks fanboy. He's just such a good kid. So,
I mean, I feel like it's important to have that kind of energy with his teammates to try and propel themselves forward because they're going to be looking.
I mean, at the end of the day, they're having fun.
That
no matter what, that team is having fun.
Yeah.
Like, there's no way you don't have fun with Linus and Speed. So, yeah, it'll be an exciting entertainment side. Like, for anybody watching, like, as long as you tune in and watch, you're gonna have a good time. Like, there's no way you can't. Like, it's just gonna be a fun event all around. Get high level Rocket League, bunch of banter, hopefully. Silly one-off things that mean literally nothing but are just pure personality focused, and then you've got a great lineup for cast. Like, what's not to like? I mean, my boy Leaf's gonna be there. You get the OG Gold Rush people. Like, CJ's finally coming out. His first time as like casting dedicated. Like,
it's gonna be so.
It's gonna be a good time. It's gonna be good.
So one thing I forgot to bring up before, which is I feel even more important to talk about for the Brawl, is that some of these roster changes might have happened as a result of players competing together and kind of gelling during the Brawl turns. Maybe not 100%, but do you feel like having that atmosphere where it's kind of all out in the open, where they don't have to worry and stress too much about a specific tournament, helps these players kind of realize who they gel with the most?
Yeah, I think it's kind of like it's a cool way to see like unofficial tryouts, right? Like,
Yeah.
you know, you see like Fairy and Flakes are dominating with each other. Like they just don't lose. And it's like, obviously Vitality's in a really good spot, but you never know down the road like what might happen. Like this could be an opportunity if something like it does give a little bit of insight. At the end of the day, these guys are just playing to have fun, right?
Yeah.
Like Speed was talking about it, how like in the middle of a series he's like, dude, I love this tournament. I can just play and have a good time, and because there's not a serious element to it, I can still talk crap and not care. Like,
Yeah,
they love it for that aspect. So there is definitely a very nonsensical, like just having a good time. We don't really care about what's happening. But you also, like, my favorite part is seeing who these guys pick and why and how it pans out, and does that change? And the fact that we've only seen, 4 weeks, like, I can't really correlate it to anything just yet, but as we get all the weeks through, I can kind of do the analytical side and look at all the different picks and choices and like, okay, how was their performance, and view it from that analytical side, which is what I'm really excited to do. Plus, we might just have an invitational for all the best performing players. Who knows?
That'd be amazing to see. Hopefully we do see more of that stuff from the Brawl. It's been great to have you on the show. Do you want to give a quick self-promotion of where everyone can find you on YouTube, Twitter, whatever else, on Twitch as well, so they can watch these live streams and follow along with all the action of the Brawl?
Yeah, of course. Hit me up on all socials at VODIBLE, Vaudible. That is where you can find me. Show support to the content that I'm producing. I would appreciate it.
Yeah, and you can follow me at Lawler_RL.
Nah, you don't gotta do that, man.
No. but definitely follow Lawler on all the social media. You guys probably already know where to find him at, but he's been posting all over the place. You can see it right behind him. And it's just been great to have you on the show, and I hope for even more great streams to come from all the future weeks of the Brawl, and especially the second phase and even the charity event. There's just so much great stuff in store, so make sure, if you haven't checked it out, at least watch it in some capacity. There's so many ways to digest the content, but thank you again for being on the interview. It's been a great time, and hope to catch you on one of these Boost Pickup shows just to kind of wrap up everything that's happened so far with the Brawl once everything is said and done.
Hell yeah, man. Hit me up as always. Always a pleasure, Vod.
Awesome. Thanks again to Lawler for coming on the show yesterday. Did a little pre-recorded interview there, and really appreciate him taking time out of his busy schedule. Obviously, check him out at Lawler_RL. He's streaming right now, does a lot of VOD reviews on people who are trying to improve the game for subscribers on Wednesdays, and does a lot more content like the Brawl, typically weekly, but not this week because of Beyond the Summit that we have tomorrow. Anyway, now let's get into the remainder of our content. We have the RL Esports update. Season 8 has been announced, and what a way to drop a bomb at the beginning of it too. We have a cool little promo video they had. Didn't really give much information there, but obviously they gave a lot more in their article on rlesports.com. The website still needs a little bit of work, but the articles have been great. Thanks to Ian from Psyonix. He's been doing a lot of great work there. And there are so many changes to talk about for what is happening in Season 8. RLCS, it really hasn't been touched too much. The only thing that has really changed is the promotion tournament itself, as the way to qualify for that through the Rival Series is now an actual regional playoff for each region. So for North America and for EU, credits to Base, by the way, for this amazing image that he created. This is kind of how the playoffs are going to be now. So there's going to be top 4 teams from the Rival Series for North America and EU, each respectively going to be facing off against each other. And then the top from that will make it on to the promotion playoff. Pretty awesome to see that it's not all coming down to how you place in league play. It actually matters even more so now to get top 4 as well. There are 10 teams now in the Rival Series to be qualified for. So there's a lot of spots open this season for North America because of all the teams that disbanded, and even EU as well. So lots of competition. We heard from Lawler his opinions on it and how it's going to be very beneficial, and was not ready for the RLCS to get 10 teams like a lot of people are wanting. Not enough consistency at the top. There's still a big gap between the Rival Series players and the RLCS players, and a lot of people, even I've heard from some of the coaches as well, have mentioned that it takes at least half a year for some of these Rival Series teams to adjust to the play style of the RLCS pros once they are in the league play, getting those scrims and in this kind of situation. So great to see this kind of stuff for RLCS Season 8. A lot of people hoping to see a lot more in 2020 when we might see more involvement from Epic after the acquisition of Psyonix, but still a lot more to come in that aspect. Unfortunately, there are some things that aren't great news going on in the Rocket League esports community. We do have Gfinity Australia after we saw what happened to Gfinity Europe. Gfinity Australia ceasing operations. They are no longer going to be doing much at all or anything really involved in the Rocket League community. We saw them run the RLCS equivalent for OCE last season, whereas before it was Throwdown. Maybe they're going to go back to Throwdown. We don't really know what's going to happen. Unfortunately, Gfinity, though, is not going to be a part of the RLCS system at all, as they will be focusing on some other products and experiences, probably more content than anything else, as we've seen happen from time to time with a lot of these organizations. There's been a lot of investment at the start, but sometimes it just doesn't pan out, especially we're trying to undertake such a big production as that. Another sad story that we have seen as well is PSG Esports parting ways with the roster. They did not have the contracts renewed between the players and PSG themselves. As PSG announced recently this past week that they are very sad. The most successful team they have had to date for their esports, probably not their actual football team, but we'll have to look back at that, and maybe someone a bit more knowledgeable about PSG and how they actually perform would be able to correct us on that one. But sad to see them go. Farah had some choice thoughts in a twit longer as well, and some good news about this though is they are still going to be sticking together, going under the name Frontline, which they had a couple seasons ago, and also we'll be having Yummy Cheese Man, who is one of the top dogs in the OCE community. He's a coach, as a commentator. He's even pretty solid at the game himself, he'll tell you, and he'll be helping them coaching temporarily as they are going to be at at the Rocket League Summit. Furtive is not gonna like if I mess that up. Shout out to him, by the way. He's helping on the production for that. He's gonna be helping coach them for that and for DreamHack Montreal, and hopefully wherever else they end up going. But unfortunately, we won't really see it too much from PSG in the meantime. They did say they would be back in Rocket League in some capacity, but not a way we expect. So not quite sure what's going to happen there, but hoping for the best. And whatever team reps their colors is going to be great. Speaking of something great coming back to the Rocket League, though, is Marky Duda. He's been away for quite some time after retiring temporarily from the Rocket League competitive scene. Now he's actually going to be teaming with Banana Mans and B-Pick. I'm probably messing up that name 100%, but you know, it's going to be a great team. They're teaming under the name RuneScape GFs. Obviously looking for GF in bold and squiggly letters, if anyone remembers those crazy tags you had to do with the text to make things happen in that game. Great all around, but great to see this roster come together. They're going to be trying to make a run for the Rivals series, and with all the spots open, you might as well, even if you are retired, just come out and qualify and get some easy cash and play some Rocket League with your friends. You know, it's a great way to do it. Maybe not going to work too well for some of the other teams that are grinding out, but we do have some great teams that have quality chances at qualifying for the Rival Series in North America. We do have Sathu finally announcing his team that he will be playing with. It is actually going to be Afterthought, sticking with Shock, but picking up the one and only Dapper. Lots of people were wondering where Dapper would end up and if Sathu would stick with Shock, and what a great way to find out in the end is that they are all sticking together and going to try and make a run for it. Dapper, he's been in and out of the competitive scene for a while, was in the RLCS at one point, or I think a few points actually, maybe 1 or 2 points under Renegades, and then we also saw some other teams, but great to see them try and make a run at it. And also we have another team that is all linked up and ready to try and qualify for the Rival Series. We saw Joe Freshness and Alpha Cap, I believe, in the Rival Series last season, but now they're going to try and qualify again after dropping out from not getting the highest placement and being able to retain their spot. Alpha Cap, Joe Freshness, and Sosa, going to be a very interesting team to see how they fare in the qualifiers for the play-ins of the Rivals series. But lots of great teams forming up. Only have a little bit remaining before roster lock is due, and everyone has to basically be done with any of the changes they're making, unless there's some random transfers. We haven't really seen much going on with that yet, so not 100% sure how it's going to go. If there are any transfers during the season, who knows what's going to happen there. But that is all for our RL Esports update. A lot of news that happened was mainly the Season 8 announcement, and then Gfinity, unfortunately, ceasing operations in Australia. But now we got the off-season specials, a lot of results and tournaments that are going on. And the big tournament that we have up on the docket for this weekend is the Rocket League Summit. It is kicking off tomorrow with a lot of great announcements that have happened in the meantime. We did have the groups be announced. Group A, we talked about a little bit during the interview with Lawler, Vitality, NRG, G2, and Dignitas. And then Group B, we have Frontline, which is the former PSG roster, Cloud9, the Bricks, and Rogue. And it's just going to be a great time all around for that. We do have the schedule that was actually released while we were live today. That'll be happening a little bit later. There are going to be drops, though, enabled. So if you are one of those people who like to see all that happening, make sure that you get your accounts linked between Rocket League on whatever platform and Twitch, so you can get drops from that as well. But we are going to be seeing the schedule happening tomorrow. Vitality versus Dignitas, Frontline versus Rogue, NRG versus G2, Cloud9 versus the Bricks, and then the crew battles, Rock, Paper, Scissors, and Mafia. Lots of great action kicking off tomorrow at 9:15 a.m. at PST. That is 12:15 p.m. Almost messed that up. EDT, and 11:15 a.m. CT. For those who are trying to figure out the time zones and everything for that. But a lot of great stuff going to be happening this weekend for Beyond the Summit. Going to try and do a recap show next week. Maybe try and get in one of the commentators' minds and figure out how the event went from their mindset and if they would like to see more of it. It'd be a great time all around. But another great time we're going to be having in the community pretty soon after Beyond the Summit is DreamHack Montreal. The teams for this were announced recently. The seeding has not been released quite yet, but we do have a lot of rosters that we weren't 100% sure if they were going to be there. We have 3 of the teams from OCE. We got Renegades, we got Ground Zero, we got the Chiefs. Chiefs were the ones that won the invitation, so they didn't have to pay for their fare at all. But great to see a lot of the other OCE teams there. You can go to the website, dreamhack.com/pro-circuit, to check all of that out. But we have a lot of great teams that are competing at that. Afterthought definitely looking out for, because they got their qualification. We talked to Sathu last week. Great time all around to see how all these teams are going to fare against each other. But if you're not a pro and you're not going to be at DreamHack Montreal and you are going to be instead at PAX West all the way over in Seattle, well, there's a tournament for $5,000 and some Chipotle that you can compete for, and that is the PAX Arena West Almost Pro 5K Open Tournament. That'll be going on pretty soon. I believe that's actually the first weekend of September. Lots of money on the line. 96 teams are available to be registered for this, 2v2 as well. So if you are in the area attending PAX West, highly recommend checking this out, because there is no reason not to attend this and at least have a shot at doing this, because if you're at least a GC, you have a pretty solid chance at making it all the way to the top and maybe winning that prize pool, which is a decent chunk of change, and always nice to say you won a PAX event, as we saw a lot of other great pros win those in the past. I believe Kronovi one of those in the past where he got a BMW or something. So a lot of great stuff on the line from these PAX events. Great to see the involvement from them continue for Rocket League. We really haven't seen too much in the community from them other than really small events recently, because it's always been bad timing. But great to see it now. Another great thing that's gone on in the community that just recently finished off is the Witty Humans from the Community Attempt to Talk Show, which is just the What Talk Show. They raised $1,000 for charity. They passed their goals with flying colors, beat the world record for longest charity stream talk show. I think it was like 150 something hours that they were able to make it to. Great work by those guys, and kudos to them. I know there was some tech issues at one point, so we'll get verified if it actually did happen for breaking the world record. But either way, a great cause to try and stream for, and a great community that was built around this talk show from the Rocket League community. We saw some great stuff, some more conspiracy series from Ronicky. Definitely recommend checking out the VODs of that. Speaking of charity and events going on, we have the Manscaped 10K charity 2v2. That'll be happening, presented by, I believe, Manscaped and Johnny Boy. They are raising money for cancer. Definitely recommend checking it out. They have a promo video and everything that they have put out, and it is very beautiful to see all the pros and everyone coming out to try and raise money for Testicular Cancer Society. And also, it is good to see more sponsored stuff happening in the Rocket League community. 2v2 tournament where there's going to be a lot of pros and a lot of content creators competing in this one. And we'll see exactly how that goes. And you can just see some of like the little promo clips they have for this. But a lot of great stuff coming out from the community. As Lawler even said, he's going to be doing his own community charity event. But that's almost the end of all our content for the day. One final thing for those from Europe who might be up a little bit late listening to our show or just listening through the podcast platforms like Spotify, iTunes. We're on there now, by the way. Rewind Gaming, they're going to be putting on their trial series yet again for people trying to qualify for the Rival Series. This is a great way to get yourself some seeding if you have not competed in any tournaments with your current roster. Makes it easier for yourself and for all the people working on the play-ins and the tournaments as well, just so that you can get the most preferential seeding as possible and have the smoothest path into the Rival Series as well. $500 total prize pool, 4 trials to compete in. A lot of great stuff happening there starting the 21st of August. So make sure if you are a part of the European region to take part in those events. But that about does it for our show. Trying to keep it within an hour, and I think we did pretty well on that. Thank you guys for all tuning in. It was great to have Lawler on the show for the interview. Also, amazing to see the changes to the Rival Series and Season 8. And hopefully we have some great content come out of this weekend. But that's all I have for now. Thank you guys for getting recharged with me here at Boost Pickup. And we'll see you next week on Thursday at 5 p.m. Central Time as usual.